cultist of the Shining Icosahedron Great Order. This is for both of us. And today we have a very special guest. This is Farhadar. If you don't know who he is our creative founder of the studio, main chronicler, and writer of the games. How are you, Farhadar?
Not as good in English as you.
That's
Good,
a big
yes.
lie. He taught me. So
I'm not that good. I'm not that good.
well, they can understand, and we either way have our amazing subtitles live if you guys are not understanding what we are saying. Anyway,
It's the same of the lobster, right?
and the vampire, yes.
They are awesome.
Yeah, they make everything more interesting. So today he is introducing one of the games that we are launching soon. Well, you already seen us playing those games, and you will be, if you can, participating in these games on the Mega XP in July in Mexico City, if you will be there. So today he will be showing and explaining what is OMNIDEM.
Yes. Okay. So I take it from here, I guess.
Well, can you tell us what is OMNIDEM?
Yeah, sure. OMNIDEM is a role-playing game.
Nice, perfect. Well, I hope everyone enjoyed this show.
No, okay. Sorry. It's family jokes. So, OMNIDEM is a role-playing system that we created. It's an alternative to heavier systems, or when I say heavier, I mean like lore heavier systems. There's something we try to remind everyone and ourselves, that is that most people get to the hobby by obviously Dungeons and Dragons, that it's the most
Popular.
advertised game, because it's the most, we could say is the most commercial game, right?
Yeah.
There's people that said that it's the original game, and I think that's debatable, but it's not the point tonight. In this process of entering the hobby through Dungeons and Dragons, most people lose the opportunity to understand a big difference between the fact that what is a TTRPG system and a TTRPG game. In the case of Dungeons and Dragons is the setting, that's the game, but it's not the system. The system of Dungeons and Dragons is D20 system. That's the name. The system D20 or
D20, yeah.
But the thing is, you could play other games with D20. That it's actually when most people, I'm not throwing stones at it or anything, but when most people say, I have made a game, they are referring to this, that is changing the setting to a D20 system. So technically it's like Dungeons and Dragons, but with a different setting. For example, a few years ago, we knew some people and they told us, oh, we create a Pokemon game.
Oh, yeah.
Said, oh, really? You created your own game like from scratch? Well, you can create a game from scratch if you're making a Pokemon game, but I meant that you created the stuff. The thing is, it was Pokemon D20, so it's not wrong, it's not bad, but the thing is, it's not exactly different or an alternative, in the sense that it's actually, well, Dungeons and Dragons, but in a different setting. I'm not saying that's wrong, but the problem is that if we only play that, we're not playing role, we're playing D20, that it's one part of role, a little bit of role.
Yeah, use one of the options.
Exactly. And one of the things that the TTRPGs are great for, or great to use, is the enormous liberty that they let us have, right? Like the freedom to create and to have more worlds, more characters, more options. um as someone that it's inside the creative business, I don't want to call myself a creator. I think that's kind of snobbish. I don't know if that's the word, but I'm not saying I am, but I am that business. I that's my job. So when I'm doing that, there's limit to the things you can create, at least in the mechanical sense. Especially if you are going to use some dice. You can say, okay, I'm going to make a TTRPG that uses a 30 sided dice. They exist, but
Wow.
it's not common. And
Right.
it's going to be really, really, really hard to get your hands on one. So if that's forcefully your game, most people will play with 3d10 dice, and it's okay. But that's the point. The most used polyhedrons are d4, d6, d8, d10, d12, d20, and a percentage one
Die.
that it's actually another d10 but with the decimals instead of units, right? So
Right.
it's actually 6 dice. There are dice with 100 faces and whatever, but I mean, they're not common, and
Yeah.
you're going to be able to buy easily the other 6 dice, 7 with the
Percentages, yeah.
percentages.
Or the coin.
Give me a second. Sorry.
No, don't worry. We understand you are very busy man creating all sorts of games.
Sorry. I came back. Okay, so uh, OMNIDEM, it's a what we want to put here. As many other creators have done, we actually played a ton of games from independent creators, precisely to like open ourselves to other possibilities and to learn. And it has been a great adventure, actually many great adventures using other games, right? Like for example, the Witch is Dead from Howitt. Howitt created like I don't know, 200 different games. You can search them online. They are all free. Well, I think there are some that are for patrons only, but most of them are for free, and they're really fun. But they are games that are not exactly lore friendly because they're not written to be played in a long story arc. They are meant to be one shots or small stories. That's super cool, and it actually gives us the opportunity to experiment a lot of games. We actually play also some hacks of lasers and feelings that I don't remember exactly the name of the creator right now. I'll search for it, but lasers and feelings, that it's one of the classical games. No, really, it's one of the classical. If you read the blogs or see the interviews of a lot of creatives, they know lasers and feelings because it's a good place to start thinking about DT RPG mechanics.
If I'm not mistaken, creator, or according to Google, it's John Harper.
John Harper, exactly. Thank you.
Mhm.
Lasers and Feelings, we played a hack of that one. Actually, we played sometime one of Jurassic Park. It was funny, but we played one that it was beautifully done, completely free. That it was called Poisons and Perfumes. So Poisons and Perfumes had these small options to create a quick play, and it was really cool. But I'm kind of an obsessive person, so I created like a whole not only the lore, but also like their own mythical structure. But I created that during the gameplay because what the players actually you played,
Yeah.
the players were doing helped to create and expand a lot over a lore that it wasn't in the game per se, but that was growing as we were playing. So obviously there were like Lovecraft references and that kind of stuff, but only references, only homages. We should never take credit or like how do you say that when you we shouldn't gloat in other people creative process.
Yeah.
Giving credit is also a way to be thankful for other people's work. So coming back to OMNIDEM, when we played this, we felt that it was awesome to have that kind of opportunities, and it was awesome to have a single sheet game that you could like create on the fly. And I don't know, you go to a coffee shop and someone suddenly says, okay, I brought my dice, do you want to play something? It's not like, oh yeah, I have always have like all my notes and all my my DM screen or whatever. And I know you're gonna say all that is not necessary, but it's beautiful, and
Yes,
we
it is.
take it and we buy it or create it or build it because we want to use it, right? So having some tools to create games on the fly or be able to create games that lend you a hand on creating greater lore after, it's we think something very important. So we created a couple of systems. These are not our main systems, but they are our quick systems that are OMNIDEM. And another day we will talk to you, sorry, about Icosahedron, that it's the other system, and why we separated instead of having one quick system.
So just to make sure that I'm understanding and then I'll let you catch your breath. You are right now mentioning your like base inspiration. Like you played these games and you said, I like this one, that one, but I don't feel fulfilled with these games. I would like to have, for example, this element of this game with that other element, and you created your game.
Yeah, something like that. Actually, there were some powerful things in for example, lasers and feelings creates the possibility to have a unique critical number. That concept makes the rolling, the GX, the checks dynamic a lot more not emotional, exciting, more exciting, because it's not always like D20 or I mean 20 or 1,
Okay,
right?
yeah.
It's a range of numbers that creates more more expectative and breaks the monotonous tone of what a critical is, right?
Yeah.
But also makes an special dynamic for every player.
So
So
each player has their own number, and
exactly,
it's exciting because of that.
that's one of the mechanics we think it was not being like exploited enough. It's one of the key things in lasers and feelings, but we thought, whoa, this has a lot of potential, and thanks to Howitt with his games on and to sorry again, could you remind me?
Harper,
Harper,
John Harper.
sorry, Mr. Harper, and and Harper for proposing this this game, this quick game. we had the opportunity to expand the possibilities. So OMNIDEM, it's a we call it a light system.
So
Sorry, no, a quick system. So yeah.
Before you get into the, I guess, the rules, you mentioned the difference between system and setting. OMNIDEM,
Yes.
is it a system or a setting or both?
Okay, thank you. That's a great question. OMNIDEM is a system.
Okay.
It's a system because it only has the mechanics, like how to roll, how to get points, how to avoid dying, or what happens, how do you
When?
die,
Okay.
or how do you win the game, or how do you lose it. That it's one of the points of TTP RPG, right? That the fact that you are risking something, because if you cannot lose, the
Then what's the
game
point?
loses its point, right? So you have to have a goal that could be, I don't know, as easy as to get a honeypot. I know a lot of people are like really into that game, or I don't know, avoiding being disemboweled, you know, something in between. The thing is that this is a system, and we know it's not that easy to create a setting, but there are like archetypical settings for role-playing games. Most of the games are cloak and dagger or sword and sorcery, what we usually call medieval, right? That has like cloak and dagger and swords and sorcery, and these
Fantasy creatures.
yeah, exactly, fantasy creatures that they're like in a mixture with also what's the other that it's not cloak and dagger, like the like I don't remember, the musketeer thing, like that there are like hero archetypes, right? So these structures are more or less I don't want to say confused, but I mean mixed into what we call medieval role playing. Swashbuckler, yeah, thank you. They hear the stream master send me a message. Swashbuckler, exactly. Swashbuckler, sorry. But those like are in a same setting. Sometimes even steampunk like gets in there, right? There's steampunk settings, for example, that's another archetypical, right? The steampunk settings usually share a space with the post-apocalyptic kind of game, or a different universe, but post-apocalyptic games, right? This like disaster dystopian futures or pasts, depending, right?
Or both.
And the dystopian futuristic that we call now cyberpunk. And all the punks in between, right? Like stitch punk and diesel punk and ray gun punk and punk 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 punk, whatever. The thing is, or the gaslight. There are other genres, right? That have their own points and whatever. But I'm saying that there are like some archetypical things that maybe because it's hard to get like the historical part quite clear, they get like mixed. So we have like the futuristic thing that it's like space opera or space horror or cyberpunk, or all those in a mixture. And we have the medieval that it's what I said, like swashbuckler plus cloak and dagger plus I don't remember what else I said. Sword and
Fantasy and
sorcery.
dungeons.
Exactly. And we have also like the what we call like Lovecraftian
Yeah.
setting, right? So paranormal investigation and
Usually around the 20s, 30s,
yeah,
things like that.
exactly, deities, right? And so it's kind of
Hmm.
gangsterial. I don't know Spanish, gangsteril, and like gangster like. There are games with a lot of moxie. Okay, well, you get the idea. So
Yeah.
what we did is to create some of these settings in this way, like archetypical, kind of vague, so you could use the elements as easy as it can be done, but offer them with the system. So the system gets to create an adventure with a few rolls of the dice, and the rest is narrative. You justify what the lists gave you, right?
Hmm.
This is not new. We know it's not new, but we want to put an alternative out there, something that maybe someone would enjoy. So if we could jump right into the system.
Oh, yes, of course.
Okay.
Well, just one thing to confirm, you were mentioning about the different options and the archetypical uh, stories or scenarios that people use. So I could have any story that I want and just pick up the system and roll my story.
Yes, that's the idea. And also, we are going to provide some small stories, but that we are going to do because, to tell you the truth, this is time consuming and it's kind of hard. And every time we put time into creating a story that it's going to be on a free manual, we lose a lot of time. And that story per se, for other things, because the story it's already there, you know.
Mhm.
So we're not going to do this of selling you the same story over and over again. I'm not pointing fingers, but some companies, big companies, do this, and I think it's despicable. I think it's very disrespectful for the players, for the creators, and for the hobby itself.
Yeah, I
So we're
agree.
not planning to do that. Um, so we're trying to create three different tiers of the games, of the systems too. The one that it's going to be free, that it's like all the rules, all the structure, and the settings, and a free story for
Mhm.
each setting. So we're not like leaving you at all. The intermediate like structure, that it's still the digital, and but it will have a lot of more material, right? Like characters, items, maps, a lot of other structures, so you can put this mixture into our the story we provide, but with a lot of options to customize your experience. That's like the medium tier, to say it in some way. And we will have the complete tier,
Mhm.
that it has to be done in Kickstarter, because that's going to be physical. It's going to be a physical manual. It's going to have their own dice. It's going to have some of the settings in pieces, or different things that I don't want to like well, I'm not in liberty to share right now, but you will see. That's like the biggest tier that it's going to be in Kickstarter, but it's
Mm.
not necessary. What it's in Kickstarter, it's, we hate pay to win, man. So
Yes.
it's not necessary. It's just, I know as a player that I love having my my hardcover books, and I like having my dice and my, you know, my
Different colors and
my
everything
collectives.
special. Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. But I know also that it's not necessary, and that I can play any game with pieces of paper. You don't even need dice, man.
Yeah.
But the thing is, okay, everyone has their own like preference covered. So all the systems we are going to have and all the games will have a free tier always. That we believe in that. We believe that we have to share with love, and that means to give our part of our work like that openly and to share with everyone else. So this, as every other thing that the studio will do, will have a free tier, medium tier that is still digital, but we will ask a small remuneration because the studio needs to eat. The studio needs to grow, so we can do other things.
Right.
And like the Kickstarter tiers that are going to be to create physical content. So I don't know if that was the question.
Yes. Well, yes, and a little bit more. Just like what
Okay.
you were saying. So the basic and a little bit more if you want.
We
Now,
got it.
jumping into the system, and if you have an idea on how to explain it on your own way, it's okay. But I was thinking, most of the times when you open a rule book, the first thing that you need to know or that needs to be explained is the difference between the role that the game master or chronicler or however it's going to be called has and the players. Is there a difference in your game?
Okay, no. All of our manuals have an introduction, have their page of introduction with a minimum guide. We call it like that. It's a minimum guide to start playing. So what are role-playing games? We in the studio have some words, some special words like GX, like the hackers, that in English doesn't change the fact that it's called check. So it stays the same, but there are some words, like for example, we say avatar to talk about the character that it's controlled by a player, and the persona, or persona in English, because actually it's in Latin, that means any character that it's controlled by the narrator.
Okay.
So that kind of stuff, we have a lexicon that it is in the guide too. In every guide, it's going to be that lexicon, and it's going to explain that system. Or well, we have we're trying that every game the studio publishes can be compatible with any of our different systems. So, for example, you have seen Postomini and you have seen Anathema in a couple of occasions, even in English, both. So there's going to be an Anathema applied to OMNIDEM that actually you have seen already in action, that it's an Anathema daemon. And it's going to be an anathema special for Icosahedron, and it's going to be a postomini special for Icosahedron, and there's going to be a postomini special for OMNIDEM, and the full games are going to be used with our main system, that it's a big system with a lot more complex mechanics, that it's Eterna Arcana, that it's going to be a little bit later, maybe in this year. We hope so. For now, we want people to be able to experiment these options. So I don't know if I answered correctly your question.
Yes, and actually we do have a question based on what you're saying from the chat. Why persona for the NPC?
Okay, thank you. That's an excellent question. It gets me excited. Okay, persona with this symbol that is A and E simultaneously, AE, persona. It's because the word persona or persona, it means the, how to say it in English, the special or the in, how do you say that? Inherente. um, inherent.
Inherent.
Okay, inherent characteristics of someone. So the persona, it's your personality, but it's also like the projection of who you are inside. So that's the word. In Spanish, persona, the word persona, comes from the same concept in Latin. So we are saying that instead of saying character, personaje in Spanish, instead of saying that we're saying we're just saying that it's a yeah, like a written character. I don't know how to say it. A being that it was written, you know. It's instead of that like the personification of the narrator. It's part of themselves. It's an expression of their soul, to say it in some way. So that's why persona. So when we say character or personajes en español, we are referring to both things: avatars, personas. And to avoid the conflict in español, persona y persona, is persona and persona. So we can have, bueno, personaje y persona. It's so we have three concepts here.
Yeah.
Like avatar, that it's the personification of a player. Persona, that it's a piece of the narrator, that it's any chapter controlled by the narrator, and character, that it's any of the first two.
Okay.
So we have more lexicon, and we can talk about characters without having to specify which ones, or saying avatars. So if in the manual it says that only affects avatars, you don't have to say which characters. Well, avatars only, the player.
Only the ones played by players.
Exactly. Yeah. or the other way around, right? It only affects personas. That means it doesn't affect the players. That kind of things.
So a persona, that's the expression of a of a portion of the narrator. So
Yes.
a creature would also be a persona, a monster, a dragon, things like that.
We try to use some different expressions. For example, beast is something that it's only referring to some persona that it's animalistic in nature and in your structure. No language, the barrier of communication, it's limited to instinct, you know. Okay. But you can say being to think about more advanced creature, you know, maybe a manticore or maybe a gorgon, to say like classical monsters from Greek mythology, right? Yeah. Because they would be not exactly only animals, but animals maybe depending on the chronicle, with some level of intelligence or some level of possibility to communicate with them. Okay. Some different structure, social structure, for example. Okay. So that kind of words we are trying to like to put. You know, you play Magic and it says creature, beast, whatever, but that's only for effects. You know, it's only a mechanic. It's not a philosophical definition. It's just because your deck is beasts. Or
I mean, it only tells you how you can fight it, but it doesn't tell you how you can interact besides fighting.
Exactly. And, for example, yeah.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
In Dungeons and Dragons, it's the same. In Dungeons and Dragons, you say in the monster manuals or in the creature manuals, also in Pathfinder, for example, you can say that there's definitions for the monsters, right? Those definitions, it's because some power, some abilities, some magic doesn't apply to that in specifically. If you dig deeper, or your narrator, it's more like lore centered or more. They investigate or talk more. They probably will justify it and understand that you cannot use that power because the enemy it's a construct, for example, and it won't work because that specific spell you're using, it affects the heart, you know.
Yeah.
And it's a construct, it doesn't have a heart, so your spell is going to just go through the gears and the steam engine that the construct has in itself, so it won't affect it, that kind of stuff.
That's
But
beautiful.
for a lot of players, it's just like construct, it doesn't affect construct, no, you can't, and that's it. I mean, the point of the TTP RPG is that we try to create worlds. Sorry, what would Freud say it?
In your case,
Okay,
words
yes.
as well.
Okay. And we try to create worlds that are as alive as possible. A lot of people has debate with this, and I respect their positions. I know some people play TTRPG just for the kicks, literally just for laughs, and every game is just comedy, and I get it, it's their way of, but I think we can like exploit the wonderful opportunities TTRPGs have. You know, we're not limited by the number of polygons in the in the structure. We're not limited by the RAM of the computer we're playing on.
Yeah.
Maybe of the RAM of our brains, but I mean, it's supposed to be higher.
But that can also be developed. And something that's very important, and I myself, I have learned being here at the studio, is that TTRPGs really help develop your brain and your social abilities, although I'm not showing it right now. Something that I wanted to mention.
That's tough with yourself. Okay.
Something that I wanted to mention, and maybe I should have started the show with that, is that one of the things that I admire for Heather for is that besides creating games, he's creating the words. Now, he's not inventing a word because he's basing the one for Latin, for example. But the idea is that this game can be played by anyone. Well, first, right now, Spanish and English, but later on, anyone. And the words won't change that much because a lot of times in the translation, a lot of things get lost. And I'm not referring to the movie. A lot of things get lost. And you end up playing different games, even if the name is the same. And the idea here, or what I'm understanding on your idea for this game and in general the studio, is that this can be played by anyone anywhere and will be pretty much the same.
Yeah, we want to build some kind of bridges. I don't know, that sounds weird to me. Bridge?
Yeah, bridges.
So there's some bridges between languages. So even if we have to translate the game, some of the concepts stays the same. So we can speak with a French player, and at least the core essence of the game, it's going to be the same.
Yeah.
It's true what you're saying. Many games suffer and lose a lot of themselves, whatever, over translation.
Yeah, that's true. I once saw, I mean, I know that it's not exactly on topic. We can get to the system right away. But I remember I saw a forum where two people were discussing the same game, but they didn't know because they were from different countries and they were speaking in English in the forum, and they were both referring again to the same game, but they were saying, no, this one is better than that one because the name was different. And those slight difference on the rules were making them fight. It's funny, but that happens, and we're trying to avoid that.
Yes, we're trying to create more community, not shorten or making it smaller, right? Okay, maybe we're dreaming big. Yes.
Well,
Okay.
what's the point if it's not going to be big?
Yeah.
Now,
I agree.
To be specific with this particular interview, because so far it's a general overview of the concepts that you manage for this game, OMNIDEM. Can we start with what is the word or the concepts behind OMNIDEM?
Yeah, sure. That's actually a great way to start. Omni, meaning everything, all, and idem, identity, or well, actually self. idem itself. So the combination of the words OMNIDEM have we have the desire to make the concept that everything it's your identity. Every aspect, it's one identity, because OMNIDEM uses the base mechanic, the dice mechanic of OMNIDEM is that you have a number, one number between 4 and 9.
Okay.
And when you use the dice, the OMNIDEM, it's played with a D12 dice or 2d6. We chose this because it's the middle point almost, but also because it's a lot easier to get d6s in I don't know, even in not specialized stores, or maybe you have from board games a couple of d6s. So if someone is starting to play, it's not going to be that expensive, or maybe they can try it without having to buy a whole set or something. We know now there are like digital dice, but we also know that not everyone have access to them. So we want to make it as friendly and, how do you say, of easy access as we can.
Accessible.
Accessible. Thank you. Makes me feel so inadequate, so lacking of my elucubration skills. Okay, but the thing is, the OMNIDEM concept is you have one number in every game that is justified differently. For example, for anathema is the darkness seal, that the symbol, that number is the symbol that sealed your specific spell, your specific ritual. So that number is your sacred seal. That's the justification. In postominy, it's the last digits, that is the last digit in your serial number of experiment. So that's your number. In every game we justified it in a different way, but the thing is that number, it's going to give you your identity. Everything in the game, it's going to be literally around that number.
Okay.
Because OMNIDEM plays in a dual mechanic. The mechanic, it's different in every game, but it's over your number and under your number.
Okay.
Some of your abilities or your actions are going to be needed to be above your number, and some of them are going to be needed to be under your number. So the dynamic, it's dual. You have to choose tactically what is better for your avatar to do. And also there's the chance part in the dice to be able to reach over or under, depending on your choice and the circumstances. So with one dice, we try to create based in lasers and feelings, and then creating a different mechanic. We're trying to create a mechanic that makes everything in your structure and your identity to work. This is till now, till where we're at this point, not that different from lasers and feelings, but we added other things that are in connection with this mechanic of the dice on, over, and under. For example, in anathema, everything that is mystical, your occult rituals, whatever that is mystical in nature, it has to be over, because it belongs to the ether. It belongs to the meta terrain, the meta physical.
Yeah.
And everything that it's a physical action, it's terrenal. So it has to be under your number, going down, going below. The logical is so above, so below. We try to create these justifications that are in synchronized with the game, with the lore. We try to do our best there, and it's that. So your character can have a number that is a low number. That makes your character a character that it has more chance to have your numbers above their personal number. So in Anathema, there are mystical avatars, like a lot more. They can do a lot more with mystical powers than they can achieve in physical actions.
Yeah.
There are like wizards of some sort, right? And if your number is high, then you would be better in being a physical character, a warrior, a guardian, a spy, or something that it's more on the physical actions terrain. I don't know how to say that.
And is this something that is determined or chosen by the player? Like, if
Well,
I want to be a very smart person, I will select my number to be, I don't know, 4. And then I will always be able to do what I want to do.
well, actually, we in the manual, let's say that the way it was meant to be played, what we do, it's to play the hardcore way, that it's roll your dice. If it's below 4 or it's over 9, you have to re-roll.
Okay.
But that is our choice. In the manual, it says if you are a beginner or you feel uncomfortable with your number, you can negotiate with the narrator or with your partners at the table, because why not?
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be a range between the players and
Okay.
whoever narrates. But we recommend to face your number, But yes, you can choose if you want. We in all our manuals, we are like, this is the rules, and just below that it says, but you do whatever you want. Here are the other tools to
Adjust.
change that rule that I just told you, that it's their rule. We don't want to be, we don't want to preach to you how to play the game, but obviously if we're writing the game, we have the responsibility to tell you how the hell it works. So
Right.
we'll tell you how the hell it works and how we thought it would work better. But you have the choice, and we try to make in our manuals as open as possible the choices, so you can alter. And at the end of the manuals, there's a section that is, in this case, making OMNIDEM your own. That is what of the game you can cut off. And actually, one of the things is the OMNIDEM has 7 mechanics. That's the whole system, 7 mechanics, 7 different mechanics. But we created a way to play with just 2 mechanics.
Wow.
2 of those 7. You can cut off 5 of them, and the game still works.
Okay.
Or you can even choose like 3 or 4 or 5, or you can just put aside 1. So that's the last section, making OMNIDEM your own. That it says, if you're going to cut that, be aware of this, or change this, or try to I don't know, censor in the sheet these spaces so you don't get like confused.
Of course.
That kind of stuff. So we try to, yes, give you a full system and the possibility to turn it in your own.
And this is why you called it, I'm sorry, I think you said a quick game. Yes. Or a light game?
This is quick, the Icosahedron is light.
Okay. So it is quick. Then I understand it's because you can do it in just a few checks of your die.
Yes, actually, when you understand the mechanics, all you have to do to create your character, it's rolling the die to have your number, your cipher, and choosing give your how do you say that, repartir, to
Assign your numbers,
yeah,
your
to assign your character points that are 1, 2, or 3, depending on what you chose. We recommend 3 points, and that's it. You have your character. That's it. The rest is absolutely your desire, your imagination.
your preference.
And once you decide, I am I don't know, monk that likes to be around naked because I don't know, that's what I like, then you get a talent. We in the manual are going to give you a list of talents that we created, so you can choose if you want, or you can create your own talent. The things with the talents are they're like your abilities, your powers, so you can actually create whatever you want, and it has to be, well, according to us, balanced. But if you want to make, I don't know, a planet explode with 1 point of energy, okay, and the narrator just allows it, okay, I guess you're going to travel to a lot of worlds in the game, but or die very quickly. But the thing is that
It's a quick game.
you said it. The talent mechanic, it's one of the mechanics that can be absolutely put aside, so it's not necessary, but it makes the game more complex.
Okay. So the base
it.
mechanics, the 2 that cannot be removed without creating a whole other game are the cipher, your number.
Yeah, exactly.
And what's the other one that cannot be changed?
The other one that cannot be changed is your life, to say it, your identity. We call it vitae, your resource. But it also has 2 options. You can choose the mechanic of vitae, that it's a bar of 5 or 10 points, whatever you choose, or the mortal threshold. The mortal threshold, it's another of the mechanics that it's like the 3-strike system.
Okay.
You get to 0 because it's easy to get to 0 of your vitae. You lose 1 strike, 1 mortal threshold point. You get to the 3 threshold points, you're dead. You disappear, you implode, I don't know, depends on the game.
Depending on the scenario.
So you can play with the vitae mechanic that gives you like a bar, a life bar, for saying it like video gaming, like in a video game, that has 5 to 10 points, and you can like drain them or win them, so it's a little bit more flexible. Or the mortal threshold, that it's 1 strike, 2 strikes, 3 strikes, you're out, and that one doesn't recover. That's the 2 possibilities of the mechanic. So why this part of the mechanic? Why the rito? This part of the mechanic is important because it gives you your objective independently of the lore, independently of everything, that is, do not die. Yeah. So with your number and one of these 2 mechanics, you're set.
And can I use both?
Huh?
Can I use both? Like the vitae and the threshold? The
full game is meant to be used with the 7 mechanics, in which the vitae and the mortal threshold play a duet. They play this combination, this combo of the Vitine being also the points of your abilities. So you are going to drain yourself whatever you do, and if you get damaged, you are going to get drained yourself. So it's easy to get to 0. So the mortal threshold is there to give you other kind of chances. But there are also things that could 1KO you, and therefore instead of using the Vitae, you go straight to the mortal threshold. Or there are some special rules. For example, in Anathema, if you lose in Anathema Daemon, if you lose a companion character, if you lose another avatar that it's in your group, all players, all avatars lose a mortal threshold point.
Oh.
Because it's one way of having a resource that is shared amongst all the players that helps us see in the other player my own life, my own survival. And it has helped a lot in the beta testing, that you start to care more for your party, you know, that it's something not always happens in TTRPGs. So it has been a mechanic that we like. We think it gets a point into you get it, a point. A point into making TTRPGs more alive.
Okay. All right, I like that. I like that. It's important most of the times. And I think this is also influenced by the first dynamic, the one for the number above and below.
Yeah.
Because most of the times we are a balanced character. And since you are balanced, you can do a little bit of everything. You don't need the party. You want to be with them because in real life, they are your friends and you cannot say, I can play without you. Well, you could, but it's not nice. However, in the dynamic of the game, in most occasions, you could play alone. And this one, well, I guess you could, but it would be way harder to do it alone. You have to, you depend on the others.
Exactly. Actually, in any game, you should depend on the others. That's why you're playing together. But yes, you're right. Most of the time, those decisions are more an option that doesn't have really consequences in the game, right?
Yeah.
Unless your narrator like forces to be like that.
What's the consequences in front of you?
Yes. In this case, we think that consequences, that it helps that you can see the consequences that easily.
Okay. All right. So if I'm not wrong, we have so far 4 dynamics. We had the one for the number that I forgot the name. What's the name of the first one?
GX mechanic.
Makes sense. The GX mechanic, we have the Vitae, the mortal threshold.
Yes.
And the ability.
The what?
The ability. The
talent.
The talent.
Yeah.
What are the other mechanics?
The other mechanics are the this part is not translated yet, so rasgos, how do you say that? Like the characteristics. The characteristics of the player that can be decided between 2 and 6. We recommend 4 of them. Actually, you can put 100 if you want, but the point is that it's going to be a smaller game, like a quick game. So between 2 and 6, these characteristics are going to be the strengths and weaknesses of your avatar. It's very straightforward, you know, how strong are you, or how fast are you, or how intelligent are you.
Okay.
Sorry. Everyone can try to use this, because you have to have over or under this number depending on your interest. It's going to be plus or minus, and
Okay.
it's always going to be on the favor of the avatar. Why this sounds like so like easy or advantageous, but you will need it. I mean, it's not that easy to reach your goals, so you are going to need those characteristic points. But if you don't play with characteristic traits, that's it. Thank you, traits. If you don't play with the traits mechanic, it doesn't matter actually. It just makes more straightforward every roll, but it makes the game smaller. Yeah, more straightforward. The other mechanic is the level mechanic. The leveling mechanic lets you get a new point, in your traits, or a new ability in your talents.
Oh.
This is because even if for a quick game, the opportunity to make your character evolve, your avatar evolve, it's something really appreciated amongst us players. So we wanted to keep it. And here actually, like leveling it up, it has a lot of connection with the lore of the game. It's not like collecting experience points like other systems. In Eternal Arcana, we collect experience points. Here you have to reach milestones to be able to level up.
Okay. Only milestones.
Yeah, only milestones. But there are secret milestones like side quests, and there are like the milestones that are going to be there if you survive till that point. So there is going to be always leveling up. The Vitae mechanic, the mortal threshold mechanic, the talent mechanic, the support mechanic. The support mechanic is basically your equipment. You can have equipment, or you can argue that your avatar could know how to do this or how to do that, or would be more suited for this or that activity.
Okay.
This has a plus or minus 1, 2, or 3 maximum. So if you have a very, very, very powerful object or item, or a very, very powerful backstory, like, I don't know, you're the strongest man on earth, you're only going to get a maximum of plus minus 3. Why this? Because it's fourth part of the dice, so it's a lot of points. Yes. And finally, we have the guide mechanic. What is the guide mechanic? The guide mechanic is a like a little, if the stream master could put the one inside that has like the little yin yang. Thank you. Here you can see in your screen, this is the guide mechanic. The guide mechanic is one we took from Avatar game. That it's going to give your character like some ethical or some personal objectives for the game that you will. There are certain concepts. I don't know, cruelty could be one of them, and you have to have a contrary of one of the concepts. So if it's cruelty, then the other would be, I don't know, protection, or entrega. How do you say that? Like
Commitment.
Commitment, maybe?
Maybe commitment could be. So when you act like that, you will move in these 5 points. If you're exactly in the middle, you're neutral. So you won. Mercy could be too. You could have you don't get any of those points. But if you get towards the one that it's upper, you can see that you can win 1 or 2 points, but only to the superior. So only pluses.
Okay.
And if you play constantly to the other side, you can have -2. That makes that maybe, I don't know, if your number was higher, but your character, I don't know, it's more mystical, you know? So one of your personal objectives will let you correct that number during the game. But it will, to do this, you will have to play in a certain way, you know? So this is more meta mechanic. It has to be with the personality you will use in your avatar, not exactly the dice throwing or the pluses or minuses, but what you are feeling, what you desire your character, your avatar to do and to be during the game.
So this would be like the section of the mechanic for the narrative.
Exactly. It's something that you will develop. Most people won't be able to feel these ones in the in character creation, but they will find them during the game. Like, this character always wants to torture everyone. Okay, so the narrator says one of your 2 guide mechanics is torture.
So you don't start with that.
You can start with it. It depends on your character. A lot of people goes and creates character and says, my character is so novel and so it's just completely committed to help others. It's a hero. Okay, you said it. It's in your character. You want this character to feel that, to act like that. So you put that in character creation.
Devoted. Sorry.
Sure. Mine is a thief, but you know, I'm not sure that I'm like a bad guy. And during the game, the thief always said like, I mean, what if we give a little bit of our treasure because, you know, let's help. So your thief is not exactly that, but you said you wanted a thief, so riches could be one of those points. Okay. We're going to provide in the guide some tips on how to fill this one, and if you feel it's too complicated or whatever, you can just put it aside, and it doesn't affect the function or the structure of the game.
So I'm understanding the different mechanics besides the basic 2 as levels of difficulty on the game.
Yes, of complexity.
Complexity, yeah, that would be the best way to describe it. And if I have a character that I already have created for another game, and I have the story and I have everything, I can just transfer that to this sheet and continue. It wouldn't affect the story.
No, it wouldn't. And actually, you could play like side stories with this because it's made to be fast. But actually, I can like go deeper with what you said, because one of our objectives with these 2 systems, OMNIDEM and Icosahedron, is to do exactly the opposite. We want this to be a game when you start a character just like that. You're creating an avatar just to experiment, and it wasn't exactly what you wanted. That's okay. This is a quick game, so it doesn't matter. Or the other way around. You created a character and you saw its potential. You fell in love with the idea of this character. So you played a quick game. It even could be that your character died during the game. It doesn't matter. Now you know you like that character. And now that character can go to another game that has more mechanics, more complexity, more lore, that it's deeper. So you can use these quick games, these quick systems, to explore and try to create characters for you, new
Okay.
avatars.
So the idea is to have only one shots or short games with this, or
With
can
OMNIDEM,
we have
yes.
a big campaign with OMNIDEM?
Well, if you like the system enough, OMNIDEM can be used for a long campaign. It has that capacity because you don't have to stay with low numbers. You can use bigger numbers in experience and in abilities and whatever. But you cannot play a campaign with too many points. So it's more like an intermediate game.
Okay.
You could reset every I don't know, every new mission you could reset the character sheet, and in that way, but it's not designed for that. Icosahedron, in the other hand, we'll talk about it another occasion, but for example, Icosahedron doesn't have the capacity to play a long story. It's made to be brutal, fast, hard. It's a mortal game system. Sorry, game system. OMNIDEM has a little more potential for medium campaign.
Okay.
But we have Eterna Arcana. Eterna Arcana is made for years-long campaigns.
That's true.
It's constructed for that, to make chapters that evolve and evolve within themselves and evolve again. It's a game that we thought to like create characters that could last decades. That's the idea, but okay.
So we could say that is like inversely proportional to the time that we are dedicating to the creation.
Thank you.
Let's go back to OMNIDEM.
Okay.
We have the list of mechanics in a certain order that you gave us.
Yes.
I hope I took my notes correctly. So when I am filling out my character sheet, do I use that order to create? So the first would be to have my check number.
Yes, we actually, you can fill this in any order, but we recommend that the first thing you do is to have your number, because that will help you clarify what is your character good with.
Okay. Yeah.
With above or below. And taking that into account, you could like create a character that could adjust to that.
All right, so I get my number, and based on that, the other things will change. My vitae will change.
Come again?
So I have my number, and everything else will not change, but might be affected based on this number.
Yes, you could have a mage that it's a mountain of muscles, so it's going to be easier for that mage to break down a door than to open it with a spell. But if your character wants to be a mage, well, you have the talents and the support and the guide mechanics to try to balance it. But now let's think the other alternative. You are a barbarian that it's a mountain of muscles and also has the equipment and the talents and the guide to help him or her being that barbaric mountain of muscles. So you have a very, very dangerous avatar.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So yeah, it's your choice.
All right, and how is the vitae and the mortal threshold selected? You mentioned 3 for the mortal threshold, and then for vitae 5 for 10. Those are optional, something that the narrator determines, or is
The what?
based on the
The
vitae?
one, the 1, 2, or 3? You say?
No. When you are filling out your character sheet, you said that you can have 5 or 10 vitae.
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay, the Vita. We are in the game. We actually give 10 points as the normal amount.
Okay.
But if you want a even quicker game, you drop it to the half of it, so you have a quicker danger points in the danger zones. Okay, I said it. And you reach danger zones a lot quicker.
Okay. All right. So if you, and just again to clarify, you lose those 5 points or 10 points of vitae that you have, then you lose one of the mortal threshold, and you fill out your 5 or 10 spaces again.
Yes, that's right.
So you would have, in reality, 15 to 30 points of vitae.
Exactly. 15 to 30. But remember that there are things that knocks mortal threshold point right from the start. So it could be a lot less.
Right. Yeah, if a party member dies, then you lose 10 right away.
Yeah, or for example, if you, for any reason, actually in this game in OMNIDEM, there is no damage tables. Everything does 1 damage,
Okay.
always, plus the trait that is a damage trait. So I don't know, if you accumulate everything on damage, you could one hit kill something or someone, but you would have to be absolutely invested in that, and you would be a one-trick pony.
Yeah.
But that trick would be a deadly trick.
And in this case, when you're saying tricks, we're talking about the talents or the traits?
The traits.
All right.
I know it said you said trick pony, or it sounded like I said trick.
No, referring to the trick pony. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, to the trait. Actually, the one trick pony would be the combination of trait plus talents plus support. Plus
That
guide.
makes sense. Yeah, because you have everything focused on one thing. All right. So the next thing that I create when I am filling out my character sheet is my talent. And you mentioned that you or the manual will have a list of options.
Yes.
For example?
Well, we use a chromatic system in all our games. We divide the traits by color, so it's easier to guide our heads and also the narrative, and also to be able to use them as clues, so if a door has red around, maybe you don't have to ask yourself what do you need to use. But you grow playing Zelda and Mario, and those kind of clues are pretty useful. Whatever, the thing is, for example, we use the 4 basic colors are red for strength and for defense and for vitality and all that, yellow for dexterity and speed and acrobatics and sleight of hand, all that kind of stuff. We use blue for analysis on intellectual progress, or memory, concentration, focus. And we use green to intimidate, seduce, to use these cunning responses that are not exactly intelligent but more like instinctive.
Okay.
Those 4 colors. There are also the other colors that we recommend are purple, that represents arcanism, all the occult, magic, or mystical, or whatever. and yellow or gold that represents fortune. That it's one a special talent. It does nothing, or it could do everything, but it's always polarized. It's always a hard to have a fortune character, fortune centered character.
Yeah, yeah, of course. So when you are selecting your talent, you are selecting, I'm trying to put it in other words that can be used to understand when you're playing and developing your character. So when you're selecting your talent, you're selecting what type of character you will be, what type of actions you will take to face certain situations.
Yes, but it depends on the setting or the modification that the narrator or the table in as one chose for the traits. So it could change depending on those modifications. But yes, the idea is once you have your number and your traits, you know what's going to be the strength of your character or what's going to be their demise.
All right, and then we jump to the traits. Then the traits would be like the specific abilities of this color.
Yes, no talents.
Talents.
Yeah, but talents are also chromatic. For example, there could be a talent that lets you do a lot of damage or withstand a lot of damage. That would be a red talent.
Okay, yeah.
Or one that lets you like identify or detect something quickly. That would be a blue talent. That kind of things.
Okay. All right. And then once you do that, well, I guess the level mechanic has to do with the passing of the time when you're playing, when you're
Yes.
taking actions and getting the milestones. And then the supports you mentioned, or as I understood, the supports are like objects or the background of your character.
Yes. The support are actually in the if the stream master could show the external banners of the character sheet, you can have one support of each type attached to a trait. So, for example, you can have a red object and a red background. You can see them here in the character sheet. You can see these ones that are below the trait are the items, the objects. Could be weapons, could be armor, could be, I don't know, even small things, or a USB with a password generator or whatever.
Okay.
And it has a number of uses because all items will eventually be used in full. And the ones that are in the upper side are the backgrounds. These only provide +1 always. They cannot provide more. But they're argumentative. You say, "Oh, my character, it's I don't know, an athlete, can run very fast." So if it's something logical with the lore with your character background, then you get +1 to actions that would be affected by the fact that the character is athletic. I see a question. Could be
Maybe I missed it. Let me see. It's the one for advantage.
Advantage.
Okay, no, you know what? It says that I got disconnected of the chat. I'm sorry. What's
No,
the question?
it says, how did you come up with the idea of OMNIDEM? As we were saying at the beginning of the game, the idea of OMNIDEM, it's a combination of the desire to have a a game that can be structured really quickly, that will give you the thrill of be able to lose, and also give you the thrill of having a many possible quests, or many possible challenges
Mhm.
to to win, to triumph over, within a small game, a quick game. Actually, all these explanation we're saying about the mechanics, they sound like really long, but in practice they're really fast. And you have seen them with the anathema daemon um, uh, games. They get like really fast, and you have, well, many options, but they are also limited by the danger they represent using them. And the mechanic of having your own number also makes a lot more like a roulette rolling the dice, you know?
Yeah. All right. Well, and we were on the support and then the guide. And just to make sure, the guide is can be selected at first, at the beginning, or can be developed within time.
Yes, actually, the level mechanic allows the players to like recover the things that they lack, uh, like alongside the game, and that makes possible for the narrator to put harder challenges.
All right. All right. Well, that is perfect. I hope that it was understandable for everyone. I see that there are not a lot of questions, so I hope that means that everyone understood how it's played. Either way, I had the chance to read a little bit of the manual, so I can tell you guys that it's very understandable.
Thank you.
Well, I'm just checking if there are any other questions. Since it's not, then let's give you a
Quest?
chance. Let's give you a chance. Do you want to mention anything else? Any other details about the game?
Well, we hope you try it in Spanish or English or in any other language that we get it to be translated. What can I do, Kobo? And that you played, and that you give us your honest and brutally direct feedback, because we can take it and we want to be better. I don't know. The other thing that I can think of is thanking all of you for being here, for coming this is the video. It's also going to be on YouTube, so you can like replay it if you ever want to do that.
You can come back if you have any questions on how things are played.
Exactly. Normally we have giveaways for these manuals, but we gave the giveaways in the Spanish version of the manual. I'm not sure if people want a giveaway of the English version. Not right now, maybe later. I don't know. But I can think that if within the next couple of days you send to the ampersand the Instagram, let's see, the name of the name of the mechanics of the OMNIDEM system, you will receive also the English version of the mid tier of the manual when it
Oh,
publishes.
nice. Perfect. Well, thank you so much for this. Thank you so much for taking the time to explain. And for everyone that is interested in playing, you can send us a message, you can reach out, and we can play either one of the stories that we already have or whatever story you want to play with our system. Also, for anyone that might be on the Mega XP on Mexico City in July, please go with us, say hi, play with us if you have the chance. For next week, real quick, we have Friday, Eterno Bled. Let's see what happens next with our 4 players. Then on Saturday, we have a special program. We are starting the 5th season of La Orden del Icosahedron with Maratura. And next Sunday, we have again a special show with Forjador, so we can learn about the other game, Icosahedron, sorry. System, the other system. And well, anything else we will be sharing in our social media. Again, thank you so much for joining us, and may your checks be always critical.
And perpetua fortuna.